buenos días. Bienvenidos a esta nueva cara a cara. Para quienes es la primera vez de repente que están, un poco la dinámica es venir ustedes a plantear las sugerencias,
We would
preguntas,
like you
dudas.
to make any suggestions or doubts that you may have. We're going to answer. Here you have all the development team, GX server, all the full team. Here we are open to you. The first thing we're going to do is introduce ourselves so that you can see who we are, and then those who would like to break the ice, please speak in the mic so that we can have everything recorded. My name is Ana Berta, and I form part of the GeneXus team. I'm the moderator, modules, grammar, etc. So let's go on clockwise, please. Good morning. My name is Eugenio. I also work in the development team with everything we're doing with SAP, Portal, Floor, many things. Hello? My name is Gaston Milano, and I'm working with GeneXus. My name is Jose Lamas. I work with GeneXus servers and everything that has to do with build, deploy, the cloud. Guillermo Pasquero is my name. I'm basically working with IDE and GeneXus server. My name is Ignacio Roqueta, and I work with Java, generator, and organizations. Good morning, Marco Cristino. I work with a generator, with mobile generator. Gonzalo Fernandez. Good morning. My name is Claudia Schuster. I work in the development of Nexus Portal, and I'm also developing the KB of the Internet of Things. Good morning. My name is Maximiliano Arnett. I mainly work with UGAM. Claudia Rialdo, web generator. Good morning. My name is Fabian Intamuso, and I work in the generator. Hello, my name is Gustavo Brown. I work with a specifier. Good morning, Daniel Mendez. Good morning, Daniel Mariña. I work with the GeneXus Portal team. Alejandro Ceballos, Nexus manager. Nicolas Cardelino. I work with web generators. Good morning, Federico Asato. I work with the build process and other things in IDE. Good morning. My name is Federico Beltrame. I work with IDE. Hello, my name is Gustavo Martinez. I work in the reporting part and query. Good morning. My name is Clistan Istamuso. I work in IDE. Good morning. Germán Asís, Xflow and IDE. Good morning. Gonzalo Verotti, web generators. Good morning. Lucia Sarni. I work with web generators. Hello. Oscar Fabricio. I work in the develop team, GeneXus Cloud, GeneXus Service. Sebastian Gomez, development scenario, deploy, etc. Good morning. Sebastian Barcos, GeneXus Server team, development team. I work in the Android generator. Alejandro Silva, I work in the area of generators. Good morning. My name is Fernando Paniza, and I work in the Android generator. Good morning. Jorge Mastropietro. I mainly work with GX Server. Matias Hernandez. I'm the last member of the development team, and I work in the Android generator. Very well. I'm going to now give the floor to our colleague. Good morning. I would like to know if it's possible to put a flash, and if it is, I know it is possible. Is it easy? Yes, it is possible. You've also got native components. And you can integrate it directly to the control, the image dashboard, and that would be enough. Good morning. I would like to ask a question. What is the team thinking about the Windows generator, specifically Windows 10, with a hub, with Windows 10 hub? Well, we've been developing this since Windows 8, and then we moved on to Windows 10. And basically, this is a generator that in 2 years we made something like 2 or 3 apps. I don't know the exact figure, but not more than 3 apps with that generator. Therefore, we hope that build after build, every Microsoft event, to see what the strategy was, and Microsoft's strategy was clearly Azure as a focus for them. And I would say that Windows 10 is everywhere, but truly speaking, at present, there isn't a large traction of its universal applications. So what we've done so far was to freeze that generator. And in fact, the version 15 has been planned. It was quite advanced, but we froze it until we didn't really know what the traction of it was going to be. And we think that we're going to continue making web applications. We think this is the best option. And we didn't want to disrupt our attention for something we don't see the action. If it does, that's a generator we have, and I would say it's almost complete in some way. But we simply wanted to complete version 15 in the best possible manner and focusing on the other generators. That's not where our focus lies. That's the vision of what's happening with Microsoft. It's focus on the cloud. If there is any traction there, we're going to do it with Windows 10. We're not discarding it. Good morning. Excuse my Spanish. That's fine. I don't know whether you do have it, and if you don't, this could be a suggestion. When we are synchronizing an app, offline app, could it have a method or a way so that we could know how many records have been synchronized since the time you sent it or you receive the data? I think it doesn't have, but if it doesn't, yeah, I think it doesn't, but I don't know if there is a way of doing this. Well, no, we haven't got it, but we've planned it to have 2 events. One telling you when a synchronization is going to start, so there is an event telling you that that synchronization is going to start, so that you have an automatic sync, and an event that tells you the sync is over. And we can take up your suggestion. We haven't taken into account, we haven't thought about it, that it can tell you that the sync is over. We have thought about sending the code of saying whether it had been successful or whether it had failed or whatever, but we could add the number of records, because we should be able to say how many tables were synced and how many records per table. Well, 2 records of per table. Okay, yes, we can take up your suggestion, to have an event when saying when the sync started, and also another one telling you when it is complete. And we are taking up your suggestion to send that as variables for that event. Thank you. Hello, Enrique Almeida. It's become more and more important, this question of apps in applications. KB is making things complicated. I don't know any easy ways of managing the services that the application proposes. It's difficult to say what services I've got and what applications. The API is quite notorious in the industry. I would like to know whether you have any working line to publish or to make the API more visible from my KB, for developers. Well, we'll have to see this. At present, in GeneXus 15, it's like we have got two parts. What you give someone, what you give to someone who's going to consume your API, and there you could, the one who's going to consume your API could have a descriptor describing your entire API, and there the consumer will have a record of what your API is. What we don't have, and I agree, and perhaps an easy way of doing it is we could improve the visibility and we know the full list of services that are public, sort of soft or regs or whatever. The closest we've thought about is that I think that there are several concepts, and we have concepts in the KB, and if we want to add a concept, we've got to discuss it, but we've seen this, that it's a question of applications. I can't visualize how many applications, how many things I've got in my KB, and how many entrance points I've got in one same application. So I may have 4 mains that conceptually speaking are an application, and that application conceptually has these events, and then in turn these services, you know, well, we are taking this up to organize ourselves better. I think that we have to continue adding several things, trying to understand the KB apart from the objects. We've got modules and the visualization of the modules, but it's not the same. It would be like taking up the idea of the module, but looking at the KB as if it was a module. Thank you, Leandro, for your suggestion. All right, if no one has any questions, yes, over there. Thank you. I'd like to know whether in the applications for smart devices, you've got some kind of GPS so that I can find out where I am and where the things that I'm looking for are. Well, yes, you've got a whole API of collocation API in GeneXus. You're going to find it in the external objects that you have in your KB, and you can find location, you can do tracking, telling you where your location is from time to time. And there is another one, geofences, so that it tells you when you get to a certain point, it marks points or dots on the map, and it tells you when you come out from a certain place. So all that is in the geolocation API. In GeneXus 15, there is another feature. I don't know what it's like at present, but it's available, right? To support native data from the geolocation data. And so for the closest ones, what you had to do was to go all over the points and calculate the distance between them. That could be inefficient. Now you can do it directly from the database with a native select. Those are new types of geolocation data. You have it for points, lines. Any other question? Are you shy? Good morning. I've got a question here about smart devices applications. I would like to know whether there is any tool or an API that could be useful for an automatic recognition of plates, you know, some kind of UCR tool, native. I told you it had to be here. Let's see. Well, I saw it in the Point X stand. They've got a plate there, and then they connect an app, and they have an example of how they can read it and recognize it. They've got an API for it. It's on the 3rd floor on their stand. It's not native, but you know, for specific APIs, there is a partner that could have an external object with those characteristics. Yes. Thank you. Any further questions? comments, ideas? Could you ask the question again, please? I haven't heard anything about web notifications. How's this evolving? Is it doing better? Well, web notification is a feature supporting evolution 3 better, and what we've done was to improve the native support in .NET, because before we had to open up a URL, but since 15 is compatible with framework point 0, well, now it's easier. All the setup is easier right now, and if we give it, well, we've worked on it, we've enhanced it, and in version 15, we've got global events. I don't know if you've seen it already. So why not? It's a way of triggering events of UI, which together with web notifications can serve to update part of the screen from a socket, executing it from the server. And although the property has been there for a long time, I think that together with global events and the improvements in the native support in the IS, I think that's improved. It's been improved in this version. Once we get our first power user, I know Nicolas Jodal is the specialist that we have in the socket. He's sitting down there on the first row, and you can ask him about it. He's one of the specialists working on this matter as a user of this feature. So I'm sure that part works out fine. Good morning. I'm Dennis from Brazil. There is a concept in GeneXus. I can create several states. I can create and then call a procedure. We've worked a lot on this so that we have a more centralized KB. So a prog has different status with different properties, but that brings about some reference problems. For instance, any reference that I've got in my KB is for just one object. I don't know if you thought something out about having a reference or a method or improve this process. Well, no, we haven't seen that because we think that we have to go over the way we do that. We've used it for web servers and services with several mains, but we haven't thought about references. Yes, we have to do some things internally to improve that mechanism, but it's true that one of the things we're going to be working on in the next few months is precisely the evolution of the language and usability and reducing the number of code lines. This question of references, well, they should be more specific as to where I'm referencing it, and we've got it somewhere else with parts and some other things that we would like to improve. But at present, that's something that we have to work on. From the point of view of language, we want to simplify that. It's about the reference language.
Good morning. I have a doubt with regard to the modules. In the forum, there was a question that Gaston replied with regard to the attributes. Today, the modules are done with regard to modules, etc. And I asked about the attributes, and he said that you were foreseeing this, you were foreseeing to do things differently by modules. Do you think that one day you are going to put this in a version? Well, in principle, this is something that we were going to do. We're planning to include the transactions and the attributes in version 15. And we decided then not to create more internal waves, given that there were already a lot of people who were working on the version, and we decided that we had to close it. So this feature was not included. But obviously, we have been working around the modules. It is a continuation. You will not have to wait until GeneXus M. We don't want to promise anything for the future, but it's just something that we consider a need. And in my presentation, I'm going to talk about decoupling things, which will allow us to reduce the size of the KB and the interactions between them. I cannot give you a date for certain, but I can tell you that we are working on it as a continuation of version 15 in some upgrade. It's going to come. It's going to need a lot of tests. And as some of you know, we are working along two lines. So we are going to put it in the line of innovation and then push it forward if we are when we are sure that it's working. But we are focused on this topic, continuing with modules, because we begin that it's very important for the future and the scalability of the KBs. Good morning. With regard to the question of microservices and the containers, GeneXus is working on this, or is it in the horizon? Yes, I don't know whether I understood your question. You are talking about the architecture of microservices? Yes, okay. Yes, these two topics are interlinked. Microservices is a part of architecture, and I'm going to broach this aspect in my presentation. The trend in architecture is to start decoupling functionalities. Today, with GeneXus, there are people who are working in this way. This is the way in which I think my architecture. I think that the modeling development, modeling and codifying is going to bring a lot of improvements. We will be able to work on an architecture of microservices. Today, with GeneXus, we can think of an architecture of microservices where I separate by functionalities my solution, and then I have the same problems that all those who work in this architecture have. So basically, if I decoupled and I have many databases, I have to synchronize them or base myself in events or do other things. So decoupling doesn't come for free, of course. So what we believe is that we have the knowledge to do certain things that would bring us problems with other tools, because, for example, we have the synchronization between a mobile device, which is a database, and another database. So, in fact, today we have the mobile devices, but we could think of synchronizing two microservices at the level of the database. I think that we can contribute a lot in this field. Basically, today, if you have an architecture of microservices with the Nexus, you have the same problems to think about how you solve them than with other tools. Or it may be something conceptual, how I'm going to have things duplicated or not, how I'm going to synchronize them, how I'm going to be listening to events somewhere, or have a queue of messages, things that I can very well do with GeneXus at the moment. I think that what we can do is to make more contributions in this field, simplify how to achieve a cohesion between these microservices. Buen día, mi pregunta se refiere a los módulos de GeneXus 15. ¿Podría incluir objetos de transacción que se hayan distribuido los módulos? Quiero separar las bases de datos, las bases de conocimiento. Bueno, de hecho es algo que estábamos discutiendo. No pudimos llegar a los módulos o incluir las transacciones de los módulos en este momento. Así que vamos a trabajar en esto en los próximos upgrades. No sé en qué número de upgrade se va a hacer, pero vamos a seguir trabajando para tener transacciones eh, eh, con los binarios de los módulos. En este momento, en la versión 15, no tenemos transacciones en módulos, pero espero que después sí. Well, my English was not very good. The question was more or less what we were discussing earlier. I do better in Spanish. So the question was whether the transactions could be distributed inside the modules, which is not feasible at the moment. We haven't reached this point yet, but we are going to do it in the next upgrades. This means a lot of changes, so it was left aside for the time being. My question was, is there any reason or have you thought to run GeneXus in 64 bits? Yes, exactly. Willie was talking about this the other day. Well, Willie, you can answer this question. Well, thank you. The GeneXus we have at the moment running in Windows is not 64 bits, basically because we didn't think it was necessary. But the next GeneXus will be running 64 bits. Firstly, in Max ID, it is going to be 64 from the first bits, and then in Windows, because we saw that there was a need. Is it possible to combine uh, CMS with G-Exporter? No, the answer would be no. Specifically, what would you like to achieve? Well, everything that WordPress has as a blog and all the plugins combined with the power of G-Exporter. Well, you could integrate it in Porter with a framework, but this would be the only possibility. Or maybe combine with information we have published in a blog and visualize it in the pages of the portal and then have it published later with JExporter, what was consumed. Good morning. I was in Wiki looking for information. I found documents in Spanish, in English, in Spanish and English. Cannot it be standardized or have a system for automatic translation or something so that we can always find everything in Spanish and English? Because as I say, some documents are only in Spanish, others are only in English, and in some cases in both. And sometimes we find documents in Portuguese, but there is no standard. So documents are in all the languages in every case. Do I make myself clear? Well, actually, the new documents are mostly written in English, and the standard of the official documentation is English. Some documents are drafted in Spanish and then translated. That's what we are doing in some cases. Sometimes we write in Spanish and then translate. At other times, we write in English and then improve the version. The documents left in Spanish are all documents. For historical reasons, they could be eliminated. But why eliminate them? We could if we wanted. The standard is that they are not there because now the standard is English. And obviously, the community participates in the language of their choice. We don't want to stop anyone from sharing their knowledge, but the official language for documentation is English.
Questions. I don't know if you've done this before, but I think that developers, we always want things, more things. And I think that here we should congratulate people. I mean, we always exercise a lot of pressure because you've been part of that story. But I think that you've made a wonderful effort. So on behalf of the community, we would like to thank you deeply because you have made a titanic effort. And we would like to express that we understand your effort very well. And we would like to thank you, really, because you have made great progress. As a distributor, I started at 10, and if I had started at 9, I wouldn't have been here because I think that things at 10 pertain to another world. But since I jumped in 10, well, it was like a bullet train, and I don't know if my body is going to put up with all that. And this is going to allow us that the future will show us a very solid and sound tool. And I think that every day this is going to be the future. As a distributor, sometimes you become frustrated because you have such a wonderful tool that is not taken up by the community. I thought that the developers community was very progressive, but it's not. And we can see all the things that you can do with this tool. It's just like Steve Jobs with Lisa, which had millions of pixels, and people didn't even have anything like that. He was dreaming in the stratosphere, and the rest of us, we were, with our feet on the ground, and there was such a difference between what people were dreaming about and what Steve Jobs was doing. So I think that with GeneXus, we have a very interesting world, and I'm a bit too old, and perhaps I'm not going to be here, perhaps not in this world. But it's a great pleasure to have been part of this revolution that you are making, and that allows me to enjoy the technological world with all the changes that you are making and continue being in force, because with GeneXus you go on being in force, and new people who are here should take it up and assimilate it, and thank you all for the effort, such an important effort that you're making. So congratulations. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other congratulations? We can't hear you. I would like to add up to what's been said here. I started with 13A, so I can ensure that the tool allows you to go along many technological waves without many problems. And I've got a question for Daniel Marino. I couldn't go to your lecture, so I would like to know when the GeneXus portal is going to be released. You're not coming to my 11:45 talk? Oh, well. Well, estimated date is the end of the year. We're going to have the beta version so that you can start testing it, and we'll get comments, and it's going to be released in the first Q of 2017. My name is Leandro Minatel. I've been with you since 1992. It's incredible, such a long time with you, so my very honest congratulations. I've got two questions, something that you made about UI. I don't see a place, there have been many questions about many topics, and sometimes there is a time when questions tire you, And so we don't have a place where we can write about something that has been asked repeatedly. I don't know if there is a place where you can, put your comments. Let's set up a place and we can say, well, look at that place, a sort of external blog. My second question has to be with the ERP connector of SAP. It works fine. We've tested it, but I've got a doubt here, got a question. I think it's not implemented for Java servers on Linux or CSB. Do you know anything about SAP connector? Well, let me answer the first part of your question. Well, particularly in terms of documentation, yes, I feel the same. We have to find the way to for us to show what we know, and I would also like to extend my congratulations to all those participating in the betas or forums, and you take your time to answer and all that, and to contribute with your ideas, and that means that we are part of the GeneXus team, and all the contributions that you have made in the keynote. It's been said, and we learn a lot about that. So it's really essential to have the version we have. It's not just words. We really feel it like that, and we give a high priority to the forum. We always try to answer things there. Now, from the standpoint of the community, I think that we've worked on different lines, as Nicolas said in his keynote speech. We also have to be educated and trained to see where we ask questions. So, for instance, this isn't in Spanish, or it is, or it's in several languages. So it would be good that those asking questions could express them there, so that we can really answer them there, and people could check. There is a GeneXus pass, and I've said it in different talks. We support it, and if we are asked, we try to answer it quickly, and it stays there. So, if it's a repeated question, or the answer is good, that's the mechanism that you have on the floor. This cover flow allows that scenario of saying, well, this question is complicated and refers to another thread where you have that answer. So that's very good, because it allows you for every thread of a question, the answer is linked to it as a best answer, and you can get others. But really specifically about that scenario, this question has already been asked. It refers to the other one, so there is even no need to answer there, because anyone getting there to that frame can have a direct link to where it's answered officially. Let's say the community decided that was the best answer. Well, I think documentation is something we have to work among all of us through technology, however we can. Q&A, I think, is the natural place, this overflow, or this scenario of how to solve scenarios. This is something that we're going to continue writing our wiki. We've renewed it, and we've tried to put in a lot of thought how we write our articles and so on. On the other hand, we have different ways of access and reference. We've worked on generating a lot of training, a lot of education, so that there are no properties without being documented. There is, and documentation must be in tune with what you get in the wiki, and wiki pages are generated automatically for references. And of course, we are learning by looking at examples. We've got many more examples on the knowledge base, as Nicolas, Carolina showed. There is a knowledge based on films using services, and showing you how to be responsive. I think that what we lack perhaps is that, to then carry on. I think that we've envisaged all the lines, and I think that it's the whole community's work to contribute with that. One example is the documentation. Uh, the other day, at the other day's dinner party, someone was asking me where were we documenting the rows. Well, we do in the wiki, but many times we say, well, am I going to touch it there? I'm not sure. But if you're not sure, then you can say, well, I think this is wrong, or sometimes, out of experience, well, that's the most important thing. If you haven't understood it, it's better to put one step further, or if you don't dare touching on a page we've written. So, or say it in Spanish if you don't want to say it in English, but let us not stop ourselves because of that. Now, as regards the operation of the connector, it's in Java. We use BSD and Linux. Well, the connector works in Linux the first time. When you're going to explore the APIs, you import them, and it generates an interface in GeneXus through external objects, and through that you start developing as you do with any external API. Then what's generated has to work on Java or on Windows, on .NET, and we can look at it particularly, but that should be working. Thank you.
Buenos días. Por acá, Carmen. Carmen, Venezuela.
Hello. In the first place, I would like to join to Mauricio's congratulations. I'm so pleased to work with you. I'd like to make a short question about a short comment about documentation. There is a debate where lots of things about documentation were criticized, and I came up defending this because I said improvements are there. You can see them. We always want more, as Mauricio said. We always want improvements, but we are solution creators. Now, please excuse me because I can't remember, that talk about the owl. Well, the little owl. Why don't we think about that owl as a documentation? I don't know, perhaps I'm mad, but we're thinking about putting it there at the front and then behind what you can get in the language you can. Well, all ideas are welcomed. I'm not going to make any judgment about that idea. Yes, it could be. Marcos and Sabrina gave a talk about SKD of Watson, and they said that a solution they are implementing to be able to sort out all the documentation we've got and then get to that. We are working on adding artificial intelligence to all our internal documents. I'm not saying that this is going to end in that way, but we are walking along that road. I want to say that we now have one last question. One last question. Well, all transactions in GeneXus documents you can write and you can say how it works and so on. It would be good. I think there is something that connects to a wiki that the company can have that can be documented, but I could never implement it well. Have you developed something about it so that I can consume it from an external wiki? We have, but I can't remember what stage we are in. I can't remember. I think we have. I don't even recall what the procedure was like, but on the basis of the documentation, you would get to a wiki, or OmniWiki, or an implementation of a wiki. And I think that at the same time it was quite parameterized, but we would have to looked at it. I can't remember right now. I know that the idea is that you shouldn't have the documentation still there without being able to take it away. If we haven't done it well, I can't remember. I think that you can do it with an XPZ of yours and through a wiki. It's not. Perhaps that's something that we have to update. The truth is, I can't remember. Yeah, that would be important. Okay, we're going to write it down, yes, and look into it. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.